Is it time to stop thinking about investing and focus entirely on paying off our mortgages? Recently, I saw a comment that got a lot of attention asking this exact question, and since then, I can't stop thinking about it. To start, let's hear from Warren Buffett. He once said that interest rates are like gravity for stock prices. When rates are low, asset prices float higher, but when rates rise, gravity pulls them down. That's because higher interest rates make safer investments like bonds more attractive, while making debt, like mortgages, more expensive. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. The era of cheap money is over. Mortgage rates that used to hover around 2% have jumped to around 6, 7%, a massive change that's leaving many homeowners feeling the squeeze. For the average UK home, that shift means a jump from roughly £1,050 a month to almost £1,900, an extra £900 every month for the same house. That's not just inconvenient, for some families it's devastating. But let's go back to the concept of gravity and to Sandra Bullock. In 2013, she starred in a movie literally called Gravity alongside George Clooney. The film was visually stunning, maybe not perfectly scientific. But what stood out most wasn't the visuals. It was her paycheck. She took a bold bet. Instead of just a salary, she negotiated a share of the film's profits. That bet earned her about $70 million from one movie. In other words, when faced with gravity, she bet on equity and won. Now the question for us is, with rates rising and financial gravity pulling everything down, should we bet on equity too, not Hollywood equity, but the equity in our homes? Since 2008, we've lived through a world of record low interest rates. The natural reaction to that was soaring asset prices, stocks, property, even crypto. Now that rates are climbing again, that reaction is reversing. Mortgages are more expensive, stocks have cooled, and cryptocurrencies have collapsed. Central banks are deliberately tightening financial conditions to combat inflation, and they want us to feel this pressure. Higher rates are designed to make saving and debt repayment look attractive, and riskier investments less so. So let's look at the big question. Should you overpay your mortgage or keep investing? The pros of overpaying your mortgage. 1. A guaranteed return. When mortgage rates were around 2%, overpaying didn't make much sense. You could usually earn more in the stock market. But now that rates are around 5–6%, that return starts to look pretty decent. Paying down a 5% mortgage gives you a guaranteed 5% return, risk-free. Compare that to uncertain market returns, and it suddenly feels pretty attractive. 2. Access to better rates. The more equity you have in your home, the better your remortgage deals. Borrowers with 40% equity often get access to the lowest rates, while even passing 15% can help. Overpaying now can therefore lead to long-term savings later. 3. Flexibility with your lender. Those who have a record of regular overpayments might be treated more favorably by lenders if they ever need help, such as a payment holiday. 4. Psychological peace. This one's hard to quantify but powerful. For many people, owning their home outright brings a sense of freedom and stability that no investment return can match. Being mortgage-free isn't just financial, it's emotional. The cons of overpaying: 1. It may not be the best return. Even with higher mortgage rates, long-term stock market returns often outpace the cost of borrowing. Let's say you have a £220,000 mortgage at 6% over 30 years. If you overpay £200 a month, you'd save around £82,000 in interest and pay it off 8 years early. But if you invested that same £200 at a 6% annual return, you'd have about £109,000 after 22 years, more than the savings from overpaying. Plus, if you invest through tax-advantaged accounts like pensions or ISA, your effective returns can be even higher due to tax relief. 2. You lose liquidity. Once you've paid extra money into your mortgage, it's locked away. You can't access it easily without refinancing. If you lose your job or face an emergency, you might regret having tied up your cash in your house rather than keeping it accessible. 3. Overexposure to property. For many people, their home already makes up most of their net worth. That's risky. A home isn't an income-producing asset. It costs you money to live in. Investing in other assets provides diversification and potential cash flow that can support you if your circumstances change. 4. Rates might not stay this high. While rates have risen rapidly, they might not stay elevated forever. If inflation cools, central banks could lower rates again, meaning you may overpay now only to find you could have gotten a better deal later. 5. Limited impact. Even large overpayments might not reduce your monthly payment by much. For instance, overpaying £20,000 might only cut your monthly bill by a few £100s. That same £20,000 could instead act as an emergency buffer, giving you more flexibility if things go wrong. Finding the middle ground. So what's the best move? The truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. If you're near the end of your mortgage, that guaranteed return might make overpaying appealing. If you've got decades left, you might prefer to invest and let inflation erode your debt's real value over time. But for many people, the smartest approach is a hybrid strategy. Take my friend Kiki, for example. He's on a 2% mortgage, but worried about rates spiking when he remortgages. Rather than throw every spare pound at his mortgage, he's parking money in a high interest savings account earning about 5%. That way he keeps flexibility. If rates jump, he can use the cash to pay down the balance and secure a better deal. If rates fall, he can invest the money instead. And if he loses his job, he's got a safety net to cover payments while he gets back on his feet. It's a smart middle ground, not committing everything to one side of the equation, but giving yourself options. Sure, cash loses value to inflation, but in uncertain times, liquidity equals flexibility. For me personally, stopping investing altogether has never made sense. Historically, some of the best long-term investment returns are made during tough economic periods when everyone else is fearful. But I also understand why many people crave the peace of mind that comes from paying off debt. Ultimately, this isn't just a math problem, it's a life decision. We're not Sandra Bullock. We can't win both ways. Every financial choice comes with a trade-off: freedom versus opportunity, security versus growth. The key is to plan ahead, know your options, and stay adaptable. Because while gravity may be pulling harder these days, that doesn't mean you have to come crashing down with it.